You know what was not on my life bingo list? Seeing zombie dinglings in two different movies within a 6 month time span. Makes you think. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are chatting about 28 years later, The Bone Temple, the latest in a trilogy of 28 years later films. I wasn't doing YouTube videos when the first 28 years later film came out a couple of months ago, so I didn't really get to give you my full thoughts on that film, but today is a new day. We get to talk about this new film, and I quite enjoyed this film. This one has a pretty great cast consisting of Ralph Fiennes, Jack O'Connell, Alfie Williams, Erin Kellyman, Chi Lewis Perry, and a very fun cameo at the end that we will talk about. And I quite enjoyed what they did with this film. Nia DaCosta got to take the reins from Danny Boyle, who did the 28 Years Later film and, of course, 28 Days Later. And we still have Alex Garland as the screenwriter of this film. And it's a very interesting story that, in many ways, not necessarily a traditional zombie movie. We do still obviously get the kills and the zombies and all of that, but this one is very much more so focused on the humanity, both at its most tender and loving moments and at its lowest and most horrifying times too. But this film more or less picks up after the end of 28 years later, where this young man named Spike, he came into contact with the Fingers, a Jimmy group led by Jack O'Connell's Jimmy, who is truly just a menace in society and an absolute devil. Spike is now part of this group after killing one of the members, accidentally, I would say, and they are just kind of running around and causing ruckus and being true devils and demons wherever they go. They literally cannot take a chill pill. They have to assert their dominance. And there is like a little bit of some tension between some of these members, mainly Erin Kellyman's Jimmy and Spike, of course. And they are kind of ready to leave this group. Spike absolutely does not want to be a part of this group. He's just a little kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just scared. He lost his mom in the first film, doesn't have contact with his dad, and all of this stuff. So it's a mess. But of course, the main Jimmy is not going to let him or anybody else go so freely. So we see all of the tensions that are part of that group. And then elsewhere in this zombie world, we have Dr. Ian Kelson, played by the wonderful Ralph Fiennes, who is interacting with this one zombie that he has named Samson. And they become very interested in one another. And in particular, when Dr. Ian Kelson is giving Samson morphine, it finally relaxes this zombie and it starts kind of opening up his mind and kind of gives us the question, is there a way for these zombies to come back and be regular people once again? That whole storyline I found very interesting. And it plays into that dichotomy of these two different facets of humanity. With the Jimmies, they are kind of showing people at their lowest and most insane and gruesome. We are seeing them just wreak havoc on a family. They are skinning people alive. They are torturing them. It is truly horrific stuff, and they love it. They seem to get so much joy out of this, and Jimmy is like on top of the world because he has found these people to follow him and listen to every word that he says, and it's quite terrifying to see and, you know, more or less imagine, yep, there are probably going to be tons and tons of groups such as this if the zombie apocalypse ever hits our world. And then you contrast that with this very sweet relationship and bond that's forming between Dr. Kelson and Samson, and they can't really understand each other. There's no real way of either one of them knowing, like, what is going on, if anything is working. Although we do get some moments where we see a little bit of breakthrough with Samson, which opens up a whole new world. But just focusing on their relationship, it's just very sweet. It's very tender. It's kind of the best of humanity and what you would hope people would do when times are rough and dire. And it's certainly what we need a lot more of in this world. So I really enjoyed the two of those stories going on simultaneously. The way that they converge is quite interesting when Dr. Kelson and the main Jimmy meet, and Jimmy thinks that he is meeting his father, aka the devil. It's really interesting to see the way that both of them interact with one another, especially Jimmy, who this whole time he has put on this front of him being in control, him being wild and crazy, etc. And he's just very much able to like let that persona go in the presence of Ian, and they just have a really nice conversation with each other. It was quite a turn for Jimmy, and I think showcased Jack O'Connell's many different sides that he can bring to any character. Of course, he is fantastic as a foe, as seen in Sinners and certainly in this film, but it was this tender side that just really surprised me with him. And then, of course, Ralph Fiennes is just delivering such a wonderful performance, one of his best, and I feel like he is just such a truly underrated actor in that he seems game for anything, and he has taken on so many different personas over the years. I don't think he's ever really gotten all of the flowers that he deserves, but I'm really happy to see that he's doing this type of stuff and that he is just kind of becoming an iconic character through these series. So I love what they did. And then let's really talk about the big showstopper of this film, and that is this big finale where Jimmy has asked Ian to more so play the devil, play Satan, to really impact the other Jimmys, and so that they never question head Jimmy's authority ever again. Dr. Ian Kelson has been waiting for his spotlight. He had his cute little leather outfit ready. He had his makeup on. He had all of his records turned on fire, etc. Like, showstopper. Somebody needs to get this man on Broadway ASAP as soon as this zombie apocalypse is over, because he was born to be on stage. But that was just such an extravagant scene. And again, playing up the antics and kind of going in a whole different direction than I thought and anticipated with this film. I think about this, what I really enjoyed with this film, I just never really knew exactly where it was going at any point. Because these two stories were more or less separate for most of the time, and you're just kind of seeing these people on their journey, you just don't really know what is coming next. And so I never thought that we would get this whole Iron Maiden musical number, but it was truly wonderful. Again, it's quite interesting to see this new direction that this 28 Years Later trilogy is heading in. Of course, the original 28 Days Later, I feel like that film took us on such an emotional roller coaster journey. I feel like this series is very much getting back into the emotional spectrum that we got with that first one. And with these last two films, especially the first one in the 28 Years Later series, it's quite interesting how it's talking about these big, grand ideas that all humans have to go through. It's talking about grief and loss in the first film, and it has a really lovely tribute to Spike losing his mother. And then in this one, again, it's concentrated on what type of person are you and who do you want to be in this very confusing, very scary world that these characters find themselves in. So I'm very interested to see what happens with the next film, because, spoiler alert, we get Jim back. I was so excited to see Cillian Murphy pop up at the end of this film. I recognized him right before we saw him because I heard that voice. I know that voice anywhere. And I am so pleased to see that he is still around. We got a very short introduction with his daughter. We don't know if his wife, girlfriend, partner, whoever it might be. We don't know if she's around. I would certainly love to see more of Naomi Harris in this coming film if she is part of it, because she was great in that first film. But yeah, I was so delighted with that. Please give us the third film of this series. I'm pretty sure it is happening. I feel like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly if they said that they have to wait and see if this film is successful or not. Whatever it is, go out and watch this movie. I need to see the third movie, please and thank you. I ended up giving 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple 4 out of 5 stars. I had a great time with it. Really surprised me. A wonderful performances. What's not to like? It does take a little bit of time for it to fully establish itself with those two different storylines, and especially trying to figure out like what is it that they're going for here. But I think once you get on that track, it really works. Thanks everybody for watching. Let me know what you thought of this film, and I will see you here next time.